Hey everyone, it's Ross. Welcome to Season 2, Adventures in the Void Spacecast. This season we're talking about independent and folk science fiction tabletop role-playing games. The following is an actual play of the original Starfaring role-playing game, Classic Traveler, by Mark Miller and Games Designer Workshop. So get your vac suit on, your sidearm ready, and prepare to exit jump space. We've got money to make and worlds to explore, and we hope you'll join us on these adventures. Out here on the Imperial Fringe, it's just us veterans of the Fifth Frontier War keeping the space lanes moving. Free traders like us, still willing to evade the pirates, the terrorists, the zealots, the criminals. They prey on these war-torn ruins of 100 worlds. They call us travelers. We aren't liked, but we're needed. We use our skills we learned in the service to operate starships and earn a buck. We ain't looking for trouble, but it always finds us. When it does, it'll find us ready. I'm gonna roll a d5, as usual. I got a 3. 3. Marcello, what happened last time?
Hold on. Okay. Well, as you know, I'm the worst person to remember what happened last session.
Second to me.
But
yeah.
I did glance at the summary, the excellent summary that you wrote.
Oh, thanks.
And yeah. I can't remember the first part of it, but toward the end of it,
trying to break the slaves out.
Yeah, we tried to break the slaves out. We went in there. There were some like space Vikings in there who like went in there ahead of us or something. And anyway, they took care of like the folks inside. And then we sort of like did a retreat, or we escaped, fighting retreat, and we got out of there. And so we saved that lady. Remember her name?
Yeah,
Isabella, that's it. And then I remember we got on our ship, and at some point we were trying to get onto. We were in space and we were going through control or something like that, and they said that they were going to arrest us for harboring terrorists, right? And we were like, sorry, we're out of here. And we decided to like go elsewhere onto the planet to meet up with, was it Captain Bjorgi or Bjorhe or whatever his name is?
Jorgelson.
I'm definitely gonna call him that when I see him.
Jorgelson. And then oh yeah, at one point we got paid by the guy who contracted us, but he just kind of like he felt really sad about something, and then he paid us, and then we I think we had to drop off Captain Jorgelson at where like his ship was. I think we were like trying to like save his crew, who had like fallen into some sort of factional fighting and stuff. And then part of the problem was that, one of them had gotten a hold of some anti-aircraft emplacement, and so we had to like drop Jorgelson off like 60 kilometers or something away from the ship or something, and just like make our way in. But for the end, we got in there, and yeah, it's just kind of like sort of the crew is evolved into factions who are fighting each other. Then we're trying to have to figure out some way to uh, get them together or fight them or something like that in order to uh, prevail. And therefore, Bjorgelson is going to give us like one of his like big guns that we can put onto our hard point. I think that was like one of our goals. Anyway, like I said, I'm really bad at this kind of stuff.
No, that's great.
So why don't you fill in the details?
Well, the only thing is, chronologically of importance is, uh, Agent Yukon paid you. And then and he did seem very morose, and he talked to you about how maybe he should have never left the black. Maybe he should have never settled down from the void and just kept rolling. And shortly after you were paid, you entered Iterati Control Zone airspace, and your warrant showed up, and they ordered you to land, that they were going to intercept you. That's when you noped out. That means you are currently, according to this duchy, criminals from the Imperium, fugitives. And they claimed that the Red Star aid workers were in fact terrorists, and that you had worked in concert with them and were aiding them. And after that, there was a question about whether or not you were going to help Captain Bjorgelson, because it seems like a long shot. I mean, on one hand, you got a maybe million credit massive ship's pulse laser, which can turn your ship into an actual don't mess with us starship. On the other hand, you are going into a wasteland full of these waste mutants and slavers and beasts and toxic gas and clouds and ruins, and these factions are all fighting one another, and you've taken on the impossible task of how do we put Captain Bjorgelson back in charge so we get our big gun. That's where you are now.
Sounds like you were describing Gamma World or something.
It's very Gamma Worldy right now over here.
Yeah, we got to look at the active war zone, and last time the three of us kind of like hashed out like what everything was going on. Got to look at things, but we probably need to just recap all of that because I don't even remember the details.
Yeah, I'll totally do that. Shipley and Books, you all were not here, so I'll recap this as well. You flew the Lady of Mercia back in to rendezvous with Captain Bjorgelson and his one surviving space Viking. And they made their way back to the edge of where these firefights are going on. The abandoned and ruined pad of a long disused spaceport holds the Odin's Eye, a 400-ton space Viking merchant ship armed with dual pulse lasers and missile launchers. And it's currently held by his first mate Lucas, who led the mutiny overthrow of Captain Bjorgelson. So Captain Bjorgelson, he leans over in the sand, and you can see in the distance. Let me see if I can. I move one of these tokens. Books here. Can everybody see Books if I do that, or only Books?
I can see where Books is, but I can't see a new point of view in regard to like the light shifting.
It's not too important, but essentially you see a ruined town. There's evidence that this place was once a happy place. You can see banners, streamers of what was a concert before everything fell apart. Not a concert, a festival. A claims to be the Kaelo season. Apparently an important time for the locals, but everything here is now ruined, and clouds of toxic gas flow overhead. I believe everyone said they were in their vac suits. Captain Bjorgelson and his Space Viking have rebreathers on, and through the echoing plastic sounds of his rebreather, he bends over in the dirt and tries to draw it out for you. Let's see if I can draw. Once First Mate Lucas took over, there were 6 factions that my crew split into. He lost control of the crew. It is lucky for me, perhaps, because now they cannot take off without a crew. First Mate Lucas won't be able to operate the ship. It'll give us a chance to try to find factions and get them back. And you realize, you look at Captain Jorgelson, and he's woozy and kind of faint. He kind of like tumbles over in the snow, and some blood tumbles out underneath his rebreather. Looks like he's actually wounded as well. And he draws, he says, first, there is Saffron. Saffron has only about 12 Space Vikings that he leads. Saffron has been with my family, with the Bjorgelson family, since he was a child. He served my father and my father's father. He is definitely the most loyal. But he hates my department head Magni. Magni. Magni is, he is a survivor of the war with your people. He was promised land and a fiefdom, and he didn't get it. He's a fanatic. He has the bulk of the Space Vikings fighters, probably 20 or 30 under his command. He was the chief of security. I'm not sure where his loyalties lie, but Saffron hates him. And then there was Borvi. Borvi joined the crew late. He was not born a Space Viking, though he lived on our lands. Borvi was a scientist, but he converted to to our religion. He believes in it strongly. I suspect that he aided Lucas in taking over the ship. But part of our religion says that you should follow your captain. It's likely that Borvi has many of the ship's technicians that could help the ship run. And then there's Trask. Trask is a hired mercenary. He was a hired gun that we hired his mercenary crew on a year ago. I am a little behind in paying my bills. But he also hates Saffron. They never got along, and Saffron disagreed with me that I should have hired Trask. I think that Trask would follow whoever pays the most. Then, lastly, there's Harkonnen. Harkonnen is a madman and an animal, and he should be put down and simply killed. He's a zealot. It's likely that he was the one that actually helped Lucas take over the ship. And it's also likely that he is also the cause why the crew split up. He's a zealot. He believes that this world was a promised land after the war, and that it was a prophecy, and that we were meant to stay here and take over the world as space Vikings. He's insane, and we should kill him. Lastly, there is Lucas. Lucas is with the Voden's Eye, but he needs the crew to operate it. And then you see him kind of slump over, almost like he's about to pass out. And you realize that you're gonna have to try to figure all this out if you're gonna get this ship back. Active gunfights going on in the distance right now.
I don't
Go ahead.
I don't know when he got wounded. Does it seem fatal? Like, should we immediately address this?
No, it seems like he's, I mean, he was like in a big gun battle with a bunch of slavers, and then immediately rushed into a war zone of like 120 space Vikings to take back a ship. So in the course of all that, he's got some scrapes and bruises, and it's a bit much. And he hasn't received any resupply, so he's not had any sleep. It's all been a bit much, even for him.
Alright.
Okay, well,
I have some clarifying questions to ask. One, so these are the primary factions that the crew has splintered into, and not all of them are on the same side. Does Lucas have command over any additional Vikings himself, or is it like he has, some of these guys you talked to us about are loyal to him, like Magni and Harkonnen or anything?
Lucas has some of the bridge crew that were they were religious zealots. I cannot be sure how many would have split away and joined Harkonnen away from the ship to claim this world. But if not all of them split away, the bridge crew was about 20 or so officers.
Okay. And then, do we know which of these factions are present here at this active battlefield?
I would imagine that all of them are here fighting. Other than Harkonnen, getting the ship would be the only hope of any of these people.
Okay, that's convenient. We don't have to assemble all of them for this meeting or anything.
It would be ideal if we could find some way. And he starts to kind of goes off a bit for a minute, and then shakes himself back. His companion helps him. He says, "If we could try to convince as many as possible, it will help me survive, and surviving the jumps necessary to get to the shipyard I know of will help me give you the gun, of course."
Alright. Do we need to then, as a crew, we should talk about which of these factions we think we have the best shot at recruiting back into loyalty to Bjorgulfsson?
I do want to offer 3 more things that he says. I should also note, I think that Borvai, his conscience is weak. He should have never been a space Viking, but I needed his technical expertise. And then, lastly, Harkonnen does have an anti-aircraft gun that could probably damage your ship and mine, if he were insane enough to use it. Now, yeah, and from there, I'm going to toss the ball back to you all, and first to Bellamy. What do you think?
as I was listening to him lay this stuff out, what occurred to me was offer something to Trask, get him on our side, get him and his folks to help us kill Harkonnen, get that gun, get control of that gun. After which we're in a much better position for whatever we want to do. That's enough to go on, I think. I mean, At that point, you kill Harkonnen, you know, you got all the mercenaries, it's enough, and then Bjorgulfson's presence, it's enough to sway Harkonnen's men, I think, right? And then from there we can address... the easiest is probably, what's his name?
Sultan?
Yeah. Who cares if he hates
Yeah, the first-
anybody? If the point is, if he's loyal to the family, then he'll join Bjorgulfsson again, no matter what. Not Magni, right? He hates Magni.
He hates Magni and Trask, and that's kind of the issue. Is that like the one that
Trask hates
definitely...
him, and he hates Magni.
I'm gonna functionally treat it as probably mutual. Like the point is that there's friction between them.
Sure.
That would be tricky for us to try.
The only part I balk at is paying Trask. My actual first instinct was to kill Trask, but I don't know.
Crab's over here.
But I don't know.
He's asking for money. A fatal flaw.
Yeah, but the problem is.
Yeah, so
I don't know if
okay.
we can take on Trask's
So-
20 men.
Yeah, so we've got some ideas here that maybe you could pay off the guy who, you know, is interested in money, get the guy who's loyal, and then the one easily swayed. What do you think, Brooks?
I was thinking, I know there's the scientist that is weak-minded. We could probably do something with that. But part of me was also thinking that maybe we could, like, call a meeting. Say, like, there's money on the line that Burleson is ready to, or willing to spend some money to get the ship back. And while we're having this meeting, steal the ship, or do something like that. I was thinking that may be a good idea.
But with the big gun, that guy's a fanatic, the guy who controls the big gun, so he probably won't come to a meeting, he'll probably just start shooting.
I mean, we could always try, or maybe we could split up and, you know, half of us deal with that guy. Maybe we could try to disarm it. I don't know, just throwing it out there.
All right, so there are two ideas kind of on the table here. One is to basically go after what seems the easiest and gain their allegiances in various ways. The other option is to set up a scheme and actually steal the Voden's Eye with enough people to crew it, and then you have two ships. Did I hear that correctly, Books?
Yes, yeah,
All right.
that's it.
And all right, Shipley, what do you think about those options?
So I'm not familiar with how many people we would need to get Plan B to work. How many crew members exactly do we need, assuming to run both ships?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm gonna say something like 20 or 30. It's gonna be like a bunch of people, you know. So you're
Okay.
gonna need like 2 or 3 factions on your side to get it going, which is kind of the essence of the first mate's problem right now.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so it sounds like we're gonna need to talk to one of the factions, no matter which plan we take. I think Trask sounds the most approachable because, I mean, he just wants to get paid.
What was he getting paid before?
And yeah, how long have you not paid him? Like, because he's gonna want his back pay and a substantial check to make up for all the drama, I'm sure.
Well, I've been away from the captain's chair for some time, about 2-3 months, and overdue for about 3 months, so 6 months.
Okay.
That is a lot of money, I think, off the top of my head, because essentially you have like different rates of pay, and let's just say that they're grunts, so that's 1,000 each per month. So if there's like 20 grunts, that's 20,000 per month for, you know, so it's close to what, 150.
120,000 just to pay off the debt.
Yeah. Or yeah, you know, that if you were just trying to pay them, yeah.
Well, if we here's my question to him. If we give him 120,000 right now, will they be working for you again? Is that all it'll take?
I suppose they would be working for you.
Yeah, but we can talk about that. But maybe it would be a loan to you. instead.
I see. I think that it's true. If we pay him even something like a down payment on the debt, he will work for us.
Well, down payment sounds great.
Lucas will not be
Sounds
able
better.
to pay him, and that is why he is not already on the voting side.
I was going to ask how susceptible he would be to an empty promise. If you just say that, don't worry, you're good for it, he's going to get his pay when you get the ship back. We don't actually have to worry about you ever making good on that.
Yeah,
Because
so
I hate for us to spend any of our money on this, but I guess if a small down payment is enough to win them over, maybe that's worth it.
But it's still less than what everyone would pay for a gun new. So
That's a good point.
One problem at a time. We let's say we pay a down payment, then we bring them up to take out Harkonnen at the gun. It's the old mercenary solution. You put them in the front line, see how many of them die off. You only have to pay the ones that lived.
God.
Captain Bjorgensson is
cynical.
actually like, this is a good idea. He seems to like consider it. Meanwhile, 3 things are going on. First of all, somewhere in the distance, you hear why is this not working? You hear like a squeaking, oinking noise, like a hawk, like that. There's like a bunch of them somewhere in the distance. You're not sure where it is. That specific ping is not necessarily where they are. It's somewhere off in the distance in this madness, though. The second thing that of note is you don't know where these factions are, but I will note there is an active gunfight going on right here, just across from you. There is a building complex right here, and there's a smaller building complex across the road. It looks like there is a locked door that you can actually see to the complex. There's also a locked door behind you to this one right here. There is a large building complex like the size of a mall or a factory over here with multiple buildings and smokestacks and stuff. And then there's another building complex. It does look like they're all firing from... They've sort of set up their bases, you know, their assembly areas here, and they're fighting from these positions. Lastly, Captain Jorgensen points out in the distance over here a vertical smokestack, a vertical structure that's partially crumbled, and he can point to that, and he's like, that is where Harkonnen is in his gun. So, you're not exactly sure where all these people are, and meanwhile, these people notice you. And 2 of them turn and they think they're going to come under fire from you, and they point their weapons at you. Folks, what do you do?
Okay, so I think, let's see. I would start to motion for everyone to go to the door behind us. Meanwhile, I'm going to put my hands up and shout over to them and say, you know, we mean you no harm.
All right. Make a roll under your social.
Okay, let's see.
Did you make it?
Yes, it was a 9, and my social is 3 with a -1.
Oh,
So
you got to roll
not
under
good.
it.
Right, so I failed.
Uh-oh.
Oh, gotcha.
Right?
Okay. Well, they keep their guns pointed at you, Hooks, and they yell out in a language that you do not understand. Captain Jorgensen looks not super useful, but, you know, like there would be a delay, but you could try to get his help and the Space Vikings' help that's tending to him. Meanwhile, Marcello, what are you doing? Books has yelled at you all to maybe go in and try to get that door open. And then you see that these people point their weapons at you and are yelling in a alien language.
Yeah. Do they see me?
They see all of you all, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I hold my hands up, not a threat, and I'm slowly backing up toward the door.
All right. Yeah. You.
And if there comes a moment where they're distracted or something like that, I would like try to get that door open.
All right. Captain Bjorgelson and his Space Viking, they're slowly making their way forward to try to resolve this situation. We'll see how it turns out. But how do you all feel about this plan, Perseus, Shipley, and Bellamy, getting in this door into a building, while Books and Space Vikings try to keep this gunfight from turning your way?
The door looks really good right now.
The door looks great. The only apprehension I have is, you know, because if it belongs to them, they might think we're, you know, they don't know who we are. We're trying to break into their door while we're talking to them. They're nearest to this building, so it would seem likely that this building is friendly to them in some capacity. So I guess we'll see if the door's locked or.
This all
Hopefully-
happens. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean these are just like Bellamy's thoughts. You know, I'm very curious to see if Bjorgulfsson is successful. I'm not bolting towards the door just now, and I've got my hand on my one hand on my revolver, but the other hand is sort of up, like in a, like, you know, no harm is meant, but I can defend myself pose.
All right. What do you think, Perseus?
I would probably be backing up with everybody kind of slowly. I'm curious to see the exchange between Bjorgulfsson and the barbarians. I have an idea of a ruse, a ploy, if you will, if we need to distract them to make a break for it towards the door a little more hurriedly.
All right.
It's contingent on if he is able to actually like de-escalate the situation or not.
All right. Yeah. Let's see if he can.
And just to clarify, the ones who are holding their weapons at us, that's part of the two factions who are in the firefight?
It's one of the two factions, it seems. Yeah. These are Space Vikings, and
Okay.
so Captain Bjorgulfsson, his Space Viking, lifts him up, and they speak in some kind of language. You know, Norse, Old Norse, is what it is. And they yell back, and they keep their weapons pointed, not firing, but in a tense standoff. This Space Viking, he says in Anglic, which is like Galactic Common. Anglic says, "You will not believe that this is Captain Bjorgulfsson. He says that Captain Bjorgulfsson is dead." And,
Oh no, they
meanwhile-
probably saw the dupe.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. And actually, you're next, Shipley. Go ahead, Sharon. Then.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, oh no, he probably heard about the duplicate, Captain Bjorgulfsson. And I'm sure the Archivists did, because we did a good job of convincing people of that.
So what do you think about this door? You want to try to kick it open, try to lockpick it, try to just take cover and wait? What are you thinking?
I want to try. Let me see the lock. So, like, how sturdy does the lock look?
It looks incredibly jury-rigged and improvised. It's basically a metal bolt that has been put in place, and then a padlock put through a roughly hewn hole through a metal bolt.
Okay, I want to try kicking it open first.
Roll under your strength.
Okay. Wait a second to pull up my character sheet.
Jet.
I got a 6. Minus 1
Is that under
is
your
a
sheet?
5. Yep.
Nice. You kick open the door. Bam. Opens. And there's a bunch of Space Vikings really surprised, eating their lunch on the other side. They just like look at you dumbfounded for a moment.
Oh boy.
The feeling is mutual.
Back to Books. Books, you see her kick in the door, but you don't know what else is going on. But Books, there are these two Space Vikings pointing weapons at you all, and there's this tense standoff while bullets are flying nearby. and they don't believe Captain Bjorgulfsson's alive. What do you do?
So, Books would start to laugh, like a nervous laugh, and say, "Okay, it's actually kind of a funny story. You wouldn't believe me, I'm sure, if I told you, but this is Bergelson. I'm sure. Yeah, I keep saying his name wrong. That's in character. Ask him something only the real one would know. I'm sure he could prove himself."
They speak this back, as a solution. Bjorgulfsson's kind of, he's kind of woozy, right? But they do, and then they laugh as well. And this one turns back to keep fighting, and this one walks. They talk for a second, and then the Space Viking's like, they're saying that they are the loyal crew of Captain Bjorgulfsson, and that they should take us to see. They should see the ship steward Sovereign as soon as possible. Now, I'm gonna pin in that, and I'm gonna move back over here. Meanwhile, you guys kick in this door. Marcello, what do you do when you see all these Space Vikings eating lunch? You're just staring at each other after you kicked in the door.
I take one or two steps to the door and address them in Anglic, and I say, "You're part of the crew of the ship, right? Help me. Out here, your captain has been injured. He really needs some medical attention. Somebody get out there. It's a little bit urgent."
What's your social?
Them. Social is... my social is 8.
8. Okay, so I don't think there's a bonus, but I'm going to do a reaction roll here.
I was going to say, I want to assist in this effort. I don't know if they'll understand me, but they should understand the physical language of gesturing outside. There's urgency about telling them, right. Come on, your commanding officer needs you.
They do something of the form. 2 of them train weapons on you. One of them pushes you away, and another one looks outside, and then sees Bjorgulfsson. And then, meanwhile, over here, with them, they are actually coming to you and helping to carry Bjorgulfsson. There are rounds flying, overhead. You can hear ricochets and see tracer rounds and dust being kicked up and everything. And at this point, they motion for everybody to get inside. Does anybody want to do anything before you go inside, or does anybody not want to go into this building? No? Alright.
No, let's do it.
Alright, so you go inside the building, and the Space Vikings come in, and they close the door in this place. This. And so you're in this building. This place is portions of the ceiling have caved in, but it still provides enough of a reprieve from the roiling poisonous clouds outside. Enough where people have taken the risk of taking off their rebreathers to try to take a rest. And there is some kind of strange, just like a moss that's grown over top of what does look like maybe it was meant to be a kitchen or like a restaurant or something with a bunch of burners in the past. This algae or moss has invaded all of it, and the floors and the walls. And they're trying to eat what rations they have and take a break. 2 of them are wounded, or tending wounded. And they come up to Bjorgulfsson, and you see them start to talk for a while in like a language that you don't understand. While this is happening, and they're just like talking, Bellamy, what do you think? What do you do?
Have a look at the room, at the people. I mean, they're all chattering on in Old Norse.
Yeah.
Okay. While they chatter on, let's have a quick powwow, everybody.
All right. Yeah. Do it.
So our decision's been made for us. It's as good a choice as any. I assume this is Sulfren and his people.
That is. Oh, go ahead.
A turtle.
Yeah.
The main thing we wanted was
Hey, Captain,
a fighting force to reclaim that anti-aircraft gun. And I guess 12 Vikings is also pretty good. It may not be as nice as having like as many as 20 mercenaries, but I'm pretty sure we can convince the Vikings to do riskier, stupider things.
Well, we should go for the mercenaries too if we can. They're adjacent, unless we have to run across interlocking fields of fire to get there.
Now, I do want to revisit Book's idea of calling for a, not entirely in good faith, ceasefire, just to create a diversion so that we can focus on getting the anti-aircraft gun without having to worry about bullets flying back and forth all over this battlefield.
Oh, I agree. Although I think we should try to make it in as good a faith as possible. Just so our friend Bjorgulfsson can have as much crew as he needs.
I don't like this. There's a lot of dice being rolled.
Who do you think the? So you're assuming that this is Sovereign. You said Sovereign's crew.
I'm assuming that.
I think they said that.
Who do you think they're fighting? The other side.
What band actors they were.
Probably Magni.
They went to school.
Probably Magni.
So,
Yes.
Marcello, one of the Space Vikings, answers that for you. They say, it's Trask's crew. He's seen his chance to make a move. Trask is trying to take over the ship.
Oh, do you have a way of getting him a message?
He takes the muzzle of his weapon and taps his boots.
Okay. Can someone throw up a white flag or something and say we want to parley?
Might be against their religion.
Oh, man.
Well, his issue is getting paid, right? I mean, if we can tell him that his crew will get their, or you think that's too late for that? He's gonna, if he sees his chance to get the ship, he's gonna think that it's worth the risk.
I think that, and Captain Bjorgulfsson's kind of out of it, right? And so one of the Space Vikings in Anglik says, I think that you should talk to Sovereign about this. Follow us. And they want to lead you further into this building.
I'm gonna tell you, you follow one blind direction, follow both.
I'm just gonna share,
Take us to your leader.
Yeah, I'm gonna share glances with everybody. Maintain a high state of readiness glance.
There are way fewer Space Vikings than than Captain Bjorgulfsson was hoping for. Well, no, that's not true. It's
No.
about right.
I think it's about right.
You also notice that the sounds of gunfire seem a little more distant than before, as these sounds of gunfire seem to have gone away. And close the door behind you. And what was I going to say? You see a man here, an older man, probably in his early 60s, late 50s, middle-aged man with he's got pale skin and jet black hair, like a military haircut, and there's a tattoo of a serpent that starts up on his head and it spirals down around his neck and down his back. And all of these people are wearing like tactical gear, right? Like molly and pouches and body armor and stuff. And he approaches, just ignoring the rest of you, comes to Captain Bjorgulfsson, and they say something in Old Norse, and Captain Bjorgulfsson laughs, and he stands up and he says, I want to thank you for helping to get my captain back.
All in a day's work, eh?
That's a pretty generous description of what exactly we did.
Well, as I once heard it said, it takes a week's answer or none.
So you're going to help get back the Volton's Eye. I can tell you some things that we know. Judging from the sound of things, our fire team has been eliminated. Talking about this firefight that was going on up here. They were fighting Trask. I tried to warn the captain that Trask was treacherous. He's only interested in money. It was never going to work with much of our crew who believed in our faith. Anyways, speaking of our faith, this building across from us, he points out that door, is heavily barricaded. They have put up layers of barricades. We have not been able to break through, get a message out. But I'm confident that is Orvai's crew. They represent, that is Magni's crew. They represent the bulk of our fighters. But he is also somewhat of an idiot. And he started to believe in what Harkonnen was saying. I believe as well, but to forsake the stars, your crew, your ship, your duties, this is not right. Your family.
So Magni can't be convinced?
I'm not sure. But either way, it would be hard to reach him. There are barricades all along the door on the outside. Then of course there's all of the gunfire along the streets from here to there. At that, you hear more squealing noises outside, and then a roaring noise and the screaming of people.
I've got windows in this place.
Windows? No, they've barricaded everything up, but they have like fighting positions, so you can look out. Let me move you out to look.
Let's take a peek real quick.
Really need a bathroom break. I'll be back in just a minute.
Problem. I will show
I don't
you
see
what
like
you
any
see here.
sandworms or anything.
You do see something like that. Just haven't got it fixed yet. See something tearing a group of people apart. It looked like they were trying to make a move, and it's suddenly just like ripping them apart. It's ripped somebody in half. You can see it down here. Oh wait, you don't have vision.
No, I can see that.
Oh.
It looks like a.
Okay, I can't see, so I'm gonna fix that to where I can see from your token, because
I can't see it either.
let me fix that where everybody can see it. Default. There. Now, it should work. Why is it not working? Let me re-put you on the map and see if that... There we go. How about now? Everybody should be able to see. You see this big winged beast, and it's like... And it's like flown down, and it's ripped somebody in half, and then it's like about to carry someone off, and then two of the space Vikings are fighting it.
Jesus. Was that the roar that we heard before?
This thing is making obvious like screeching noises, you know, but no, before you heard like a snorting, squealing noise / grunting.
Right, some kind of weird livestock or something.
Yeah. You still hear those noises, actually. In particular, Chapman, you hear these noises, but you hear like a bunch of them like further away somewhere. All right. So, Shipley, what do you think?
Is it attacking Trast's men or Sulfrin's men?
Based on the direction of the building, and I assume you tell everybody what's going on out there, right, Chapman?
Yeah.
Okay. Based on the direction of the building, there's this big complex, and that's where he pointed to, is the direction of Magni's men.
Okay, then if we can take this opportunity to, I don't want to protect some of Magni's men, that may give us an opening to be able to talk to him. So I am voting to shoot the sand mutant flying mantis thing.
Nice.
All right. Roll to hit.
So will I.
Yeah, everybody that wants to try to shoot out of the firing position. Can
Absolutely.
Do that. Yeah, roll to hit.
Okay, so that's gonna be.
Just let me know if you hit, which is an 8+, modified by whatever it is.
What's the range?
It'd be long. I mean,
More than 50 meters?
well, actually, I think I have it up here. No.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, it's like 50 meters. So, long range.
Shit.
Okay, I rolled an 11, and I have a rifle. I'm looking at this thing, so long range, that's -1, so 10.
It has no armor.
So +3
Oh.
is 13.
All right. So anybody that gets an 8.
I think I'm doing that right. Let me know if that sounds
No,
suspicious.
that does
I
sound
was
right.
gonna say, if
Yeah, so I
the,
got
the
a...
new armor gives like a huge bonus for some weapons, like an automatic rifle,
Yeah,
right?
it's like a
Yeah.
+4 or something. It's extremely swingy to the point where if you're out in the open, not under cover with no armor, you are almost certain to just die.
Mhm.
Which, that seems, I don't know, that makes sense to me.
Seems realistic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just made it at, within 8 with my bonuses.
So what damage did you all get?
Yeah,
I missed.
I see 8 so far. 11.
I'm checking. So rifle is 3d6?
I think,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
Marcello hits with 10 damage.
10 damage. What else?
Yeah, it was Bellamy that hit for 11.
11, so there's 21 damage.
Okay, and then Shipley hits for 12.
12 damage. Yeah, so I feel like with 33 damage, 32 damage, this thing's just like getting peppered, as it's trying to drag off one of these space Vikings. It's trying to fly up into the air, and it drops the space Viking, and it just gets ripped apart, and it tumbles to the ground dead, this huge pterodactyl thing. Now, the space Vikings, they turn towards you and nod, but you only have a moment to act to try to get their attention, communicate, rendezvous. Go ahead, Chapman.
I was actually going to ask because I didn't fire yet,
Okay.
but you had said I had picked up on the presence of more of them further off to the east.
It's a different sound. It's like a
Okay.
squeaking, oinking, grunting sound further away, and there's a bunch
Okay,
of
the other likely other type of creature, but not more of these space
it
pterodactyls
is,
or anything.
It is not making the space pterodactyl sounds.
Gotcha. Then never mind. I will then take this opportunity to try and hail them. I don't know my means of doing that. If I can reach an arm out of our firing position,
It looks
be like, "Hey, what's up?"
It looks like you'll probably need to take some kind of risk to try to actually get them. We're talking about a moment, a series of seconds here where they're out in the open. They'll probably just dash back into cover and drag their dead away. So like waving they'll acknowledge your wave and probably just... I would just like walk off, right? Because you are on the enemy side as far as they know so far. Books, what do you think?
I think, I mean, you mentioned that, you know, they gave a nod and we only have a short amount of time. I think I would say, like, shout out, like, a quick message as I back up, like, 15 minutes, neutral ground, and, like, point to, like, the building, down from us that was mentioned before. Just to throw that out there.
All right.
See if they take that.
You see one of them nod, and it seems like they received your message and they drag away their dead.
And I would share that information with the rest of the group.
So, yeah, Marcello would... So it sounds like there's a meeting, possibly in 15 minutes, that's been shared by Books. You all fended off the space pterodactyl monster, saved the lives of somebody from another faction, and do you inform Sulfrin and his men of this? Okay. So what do you think next, Marcello?
We could bring in Captain
He
Bjorgelson. He conscious? Is he awake?
He is conscious.
And, I want to let him... Oh, yeah, I want to let him know where we are and the opportunity that we have to bring Trask back in, if we're clever, lucky, and maybe ask his advice on how to handle Trask.
And I think it's Borvi. Borvi is the faction that's... So I apologize if I said Trask.
I thought you said I thought you said it was
Yeah,
that's right.
Magni though.
Magni.
Sorry, Magni. Yes,
Magni, yeah.
Sorry.
Magni is the faction with like 20, 30 people. Is that right?
They're Vikings, not mercenaries.
Yeah, he has probably about 20 or 30. He has the bulk of the fighters. He's like the main fighting force of this Space Viking crew. So you find Captain Bjorgelson slumped up against the wall. Where's he at? You find him. Here he is. And you go over and you talk to him and you say that. Oh, where is... there you are, Marcello. And he's trying to drink something, and and he smiles. He says, "You have done so well for me so far. Perhaps you will consider a career as space Vikings." But yeah, Magni...
I'm terrible with languages, Captain. I would never be able to learn Old Norse. Not nearly well enough.
You are able to speak the language of the gun a lot better than I expected for an Imperial. I thought the Imperials just won their wars by glassing planets and and lasers and pulse beam lasers, ships, navies,
We would like those,
industry.
but those are expensive.
They are.
We're not above that sort of thing. It just, we're poor.
You know, we didn't come by this hardware for nothing. I say, pointing towards our faces.
He laughs and spits out some blood, and he says, "I guess you'll just have to be a space Viking a little longer then." Magni is a fanatic, Marcello. He was promised a new world to settle. He is dissatisfied that he does not have that world. I think it's likely that he is also dissatisfied with how things worked out under Lucas. But he was angry that he did not get a world to settle. He was probably sympathetic with Harkonnen that perhaps we could make this world ours. He believes...
Harkonnen, isn't Oh, go ahead.
He believes in our religion, the Asatro religion. If you've read history, you may be aware of what the Vikings were thousands of years ago. It is something like that. It has evolved over the past few centuries in the sword worlds, but centuries ago there was a desire to be more faithful to the original, to the old ways. These are the things that speak to him, to his heart.
Am I to understand that he wants to fly from planet to planet, conquering populations? Is that what Vikings means?
Just one. As in, like, just one planet.
He's not greedy.
Well, look, if he's in love with these,
this,
if he's in love with these old ways, doesn't that include following your captain?
I would say I think probably our best hope here then is to attempt to mend the rift between Sofrin's crew and Magni's crew and just appeal to their sense of Viking solidarity. And because combined, their total amount of people is more than Trask's mercenaries, so it's worth it. And also, they don't need to be paid like Trask's, so...
Yeah, Magni sounds like a man full of grievances, but that doesn't mean that we can't appeal to reason, appeal to brotherhood, etc.
Maybe we can think of a world.
What is the way into his heart? We can think of a world to give him.
Yeah, think of a world that needs their guidance or something. I don't know.
I feel like this is the most vulnerable world we've been to. Walston probably couldn't put up much of a defense.
I wouldn't inflict
I will not
Walston on
entertain
these
this
Vikings.
Okay, actually, maybe 567-908. That place was a dump, and I don't have any respect for it, even as like a nice, quaint, community or anything.
Well, it was just a passing thought. I don't wish to condemn any planet to unnecessary hardship. But then again, this place has pissed me off. Maybe just an idea. I mean, what kind of weaponry does the Iterati control zone even have?
They have the force, composition, and breadth of a modern military. Tanks, armored carriers, assault weapons and armor, and artillery, anti-aircraft weapons. You did not... these were all things that you saw because the ICZ was militarized. You did not see air dominance or air superiority or atmospheric fighters or starships. You did see things like that in Golan. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway. Just letting my thoughts get carried away.
15 minutes passes. I'll toss the ball back over to Books, since that was your plan. Books, what do you do after the 15 minutes has come up?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Of course, I start coughing as soon as it comes to me. I'm sorry, can we come back to me?
We'll take your time. Yeah, we'll see what happens when you're getting ready to head out. But in the meantime, Shipley, what do you think about like the overall situation? Do some group planning.
I think this planet is, yeah. I mean, this planet has a lot going on. I think, the pirate faction, even if they did all unite to take over this planet, I think they would face some pretty stiff resistance. So I don't think that's particularly, giving them the planet is particularly feasible, even if we wanted to.
It's all about. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I really think we need to take out Harkonnen. Harkonnen, without him, stirring the pot, Magni might be more approachable. Especially if he's been, or some of his men might be more amenable to leaving his side and returning to Bjorgulfson's, even if Magni himself can't end up being convinced.
Sulfurin actually speaks up at this, and he's like, "She's right. You can take out Harkonnen, it will prove the strength of Captain Bjorgulfsson. It will show that he is blessed by Odin, could reclaim his blade."
So does Bjorgulfsson have to kill him personally, or?
He shrugs.
Okay, not a lot of rules.
Would it be metagaming to draw on real-life knowledge of Norse mythology?
Please do.
Alright, this is the narrative we're going to sell them on. Is that you thought that you were on this grand quest to make your own, claim your own planet for yourselves. And instead, you plunged headfirst into your own personal Ragnarok, your Twilight of the Gods. You've all splintered, and it has led to each of your own demise. But, as you should well know, the Götterdämmerung burns the world so that it can be born again, and it's a cyclical thing, so this is your chance to, come back together, get rid of the stuff that wasn't working, aka Archimonde, and get the band back together so that you can actually go back to being, space Vikings. You're in your flop era, but, I think that, with teamwork, you guys can aspire to forming your own. What is it? Asgard is where the Aesir live.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
So apocalyptic imagery is crucial to framing this dark period in the history of this crew. Make them realize that they've all made a big mistake by fighting one another.
That's one of them is, well, they're all like the ones that can speak Anglic are like blown away, and one of them is like, he has read the old codices.
I'm workshopping this, not actually trying to sell it yet. I'm preparing what I want to say to Magni's people when we have a meeting.
It sounds like they're taking
it. If it's already this effective, then it'll be a little more polished, and then it'll do the trick, I guess.
So you got three options on the three things going on here. Books is going to go form this meeting. I suppose a big decision point here. It sounds like maybe Chapman and Books. This also sounds like a Books thing. This sounds like a book, so it sounds like a Books thing. It sounds like you guys pitch this kind of appeal to his religion or whatever. But then the decision point is, are you going to try to, as a show of power, of a blessing from the gods, try to make a big move like taking out Harkonnen, or do you want to wait and see if you can convince Magni's group to join you before that?
I think Harkonnen, as the resident religious zealot, is going to be a really strong opponent of our attempt to use this narrative relating Ragnarok to the crew's situation. So I really think if we don't take him out first, he's probably just going to come back with some other interpretation that they'll find very convincing.
All right, so I want to throw that up to a vote. I'm going to create kind of the binary here as take out Harkonnen first, or try to, build things up first, make the big move now, or try to, make littler moves now. Okay, so Shipley is saying, let's take him out. Marcello, what do you think?
Who do we have on our side? We have Sofrenin.
Sovereign. Yeah, and he's got about 12 space
Sovereign.
Vikings.
And the Zealot, is it just him and a big gun, or does he have a crew of people?
He definitely has a crew. You're not sure how large because he took from the bridge crew, and Captain Bjorgelson was not sure how much.
I hesitate that guy without knowing the status of his forces, what we would be up against, given that we just have, Sovereign's crew and ourselves. I feel that we can't just barrel in there. I feel
Right.
I want to take him out, but I
Yeah,
feel
no,
we need
sure.
more strength.
All right. So, and Bellamy, what do you think?
I think whatever sway Harkonnen had has diminished significantly recently, and this narrative about Ragnarok, I think it's gold, solid gold.
All right.
And yeah, we should try to convince more people first. I think just.
Alrighty. Books, what do you think?
Well, excuse me. I think that, we already have the meeting that's scheduled to go on. So I think we should try to get them on our side first. It would be easier if we're gonna take this guy out. It'd be easier having more people.
All right. So I'm gonna.
So yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna toss the ball back to you anyway, because that's a good point. Time-wise, it makes sense. Like, this is about to happen right now. So let's go ahead and resolve that. The meeting's about to happen. Books, what do you do? Sounds like you're gonna.
So
I
brought Chapman with me for sure. That speech, I saw the reaction it had, on the soldiers that heard it. So that's kind of the main plan that I thought of. Have Chapman appeal to the imagery and the Ragnarok stuff, and try to get a reaction from them and go from there.
Okay. There's it's not shown here, but there's like layers of barricades, rebarb, refuse, chunks of metal, dumpsters, vehicles, all sorts of things have been stacked up, forming a big heavy barricade. And there's layers to this fighting position. It's tiered. They come out to the outer portion of this that's about waist high, and they wait and they look at you, meeting their end of the deal, agreeing to a meeting. You don't have to repeat all that, Chapman. If the plan is, is that the pitch that Books and Chapman make?
Yeah, I'll in painting it in broad strokes. The pitch being, couldn't help but notice that what I thought was, a unified force of Einherjar are ready to fight for their kingdom, or for some reason splintered, as though this is the end times, and this is the devastating cycle that you have to go through. But now's the time to merge again and be born anew. You gotta recall your actual things that matter. That you're all Vikings, not space pirates, not mercenaries, not like those guys out there. You guys are Vikings. Why aren't you fighting, side by side under a common leader who is strong, like Bjorgelson?
One of them joins in these exhortations in Old Norse, and then one of them translates for you that they emphasize that family and hearth and unity is important, and that they add that as well. This is enough that's completely convincing enough for this group, where they offer to take you in Old Norse. None of them speak Anglic to Magni.
I'm a very nervous look with Books.
One moment.
Yeah.
Is these people they're speaking to, are these Magni or Bjorvi's men?
These are Magni's men.
Okay. Thanks.
I hope that Bjorby's men survive all of this somehow, and we could just scoop them up at the end.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
All right, books. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's definitely stress-inducing, but I think we definitely have to take them up on this opportunity, especially if we could tell that they're legitimately moved. But I think they have good intentions by doing this, so I think we would proceed.
You hear them singing a dirge over their dead friend. It's killed by the pterodax. And then they continue to lead you past that. Actually, this is interesting. They actually go out into this into the open air and like rush across while providing cover.
They have so much territory. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is a big complex.
Right.
A lot of people. And then they close and lock the door, and you know, they create like a zigzag of barricades and stuff, and they kind of open it up. They have this Hesco, like a thing of wires and a bunch of shards of stuff that they've collected, and they move that out of the way, and then they bring it back, and they bring you before someone. This man, he does look like a space Viking. He's got braided white hair in strands along his head, and he rushes up to you and immediately starts shouting at you in Old Norse. And one of them says he wants to know why he shouldn't just kill Imperials here and now.
I have a perfect answer. Don't worry if they can translate. We may not be Vikings, but you could think of us like Ratatosk. We are the squirrel of Yggdrasil, parlaying messages back and forth as needed. You may have heard stories that Bjorgulfsson was killed. You may have heard stories that Bjorgulfsson died. And this is true, for he died on the Tree of Woe, and he is alive again, as is the cycle of things. He's returned to his people like Odin before him, and he is trying to assemble his warriors. And he finds them in disarray.
Everybody like absolutely loves this. Of note, like the people that speak Anglic here, this is really a desperate situation. Like, you know, they don't wish for death, they wish for a good death. And that's not what this is. And so, so they start kind of chattering in Old Norse, translating what you're saying, and Magni like shouts back, and they start shouting, and two of these people start fighting, and people gather around. One of them's fighting Magni.
A lot of dice. I think we're about to witness someone die.
Wow. Finally, Magni wins, but he just barely, and then like he slumps to the ground exhausted. And he only speaks Old Norse. He doesn't actually speak Anglic. And he talks for a while and whispers to someone, and he's like, hold on a second. He says, that was his closest friend and companion, Solvik. Zolvig tried to kill Magni because he believed what she said, and Zolvig believed that he needed to wrest control from Magni, and Magni slew him. Zolvig's dead on the ground. Magni weeps. Out of character, Magni weeps over his body, and then just says, and then another one of the Space Vikings is like, "We will rejoin our crew. It is clear we bear a curse for what we have done."
Well, I pray this is the last time Viking blood is spilled by Viking hands.
Not so
I
long.
give Chapman a look.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Not as
I
long
give
as there
Chapman
are
a
sword
look like,
warbows.
uh,
Go ahead.
Oh no! I was just saying I would give Chapman a look like, like, all right.
I'm getting a little carried away,
Yeah. Like, all right, Jeff. But it's working. It's very, very effective.
I think last session you guys weren't here, but I was advocating we might even kill Bjorgulfsson.
All right. When you come back, Chapman and Books, you do so with several more Space Vikings, and some of them, these crew, they come and they greet each other. They were not fighting, before, by the way, or whatever that's worth. And then you see Sulfrin come across and demand something in Old Norse. It's clear that Sulfrin is demanding to know where Magni is.
I think.
Was Salfrin addressing?
Just one of the Space Viking crew that came over from Magni's crew back with Books and Chapman.
Okay.
I think we would fill him in on what transpired so that he doesn't go and ruin everything, or at
Okay.
least try to stop him from ruining everything.
He says, Zolfig is dead.
This is gonna be a very imperial moment of me, but I'm gonna say to Sofrin, I see what you mean about Magni being a little extreme, but at least now he's extreme in our favor. He killed his best friend for this cause, so you shouldn't have to worry.
He's our extreme guy now. He's
our extremist,
He's
yeah.
our guy.
But like that should say to you everything you need to know about his loyalties at this point. He killed his best friend for this, so
Yeah, that. Also, finding out, he says, Zolfik was a good man. And they go over and they start singing.
I'm in a nut house right now.
I roll my eye. I noisily roll my eyes.
I would like to confer with our crew. I think we might need to discuss. I have a plan to propose to the captain and everyone else. I think has some legs.
Okay.
We're now
Shoot.
operating under the assumption that we have Sofrin and Magni's Vikings at our disposal, more or less. It seems like these factions thus far are pretty competently able to handle that kind of like urban warfare, maneuvering from building to building to stay out of the fire of, the anti-aircraft gun and other things like that. So they have a lot of numbers between them. I bet we could send these Vikings off to go take out the anti-aircraft gun and any of Harkomen's guys. Don't let him get a word in edgewise. Just do a full, concentrated assault on them now that they're no longer fighting one another. And I was thinking it might be prudent to do some kind of pincer maneuver coming from two different directions at once. That could leave us to maybe set up a diversion to distract Trask, so his mercenaries are no longer the factor that has to be worried about it during this operation. I don't yet know what our diversion would be, but
Well,
We just offer
I,
him money.
I've got an alternate plan that I think feeds into something that we've already started doing.
Hmm.
You got Bjorvi's men out there, you got Harkomen's men out there, and you got whoever Lucas has, plus Lucas himself, I assume is still a space Viking, traitor though he may be. I say we see if we can rig up a loudspeaker. All right, and you go make your weird Viking sermon to everybody that can hear within a
Weird
half
Viking
month.
sermon. We've
within a- with-
discovered the episode title tonight.
Weird Viking servant.
Captain,
What a
you are a
great
lot more
song
confident in my
title, too.
ability to do that. than I
Well,
am.
you know what? I like showing confidence in your abilities. Sometimes it works out. I think it worked out we're pretty well so far. I mean, this Magni might have been a tough nut to crack if not for this idea. So it's probably true of Harkomen's men too. And hey, maybe Harkomen himself.
What a
Maybe
great
this is
band
exactly Weird Viking sermon or
Yes.
Harkomen's man.
I'm a little nervous to try to court favor with Harkomen and his faction because, you know,
That's what the loudspeaker's for.
no, what I
Poor
mean
Vincent.
is like, yes, I agree, like, get every Viking together except for him. Like, Bjorgulfsson said he needs to die.
Okay, so then we encourage his men. So who can you compare Harkomen to that'll make him a good target for immediate killing by his own men? Loki, maybe?
Kind of,
Is Loki a
kind of-
good? I don't know. I don't know nothing about these things, but
Brooks, what do you think? I mean, about this? We're talking big plans now. Oh, actually, let me give some clarifying information, and then I'm going to come back to you, Brooks. They have a head count, so that's good. So there's a command and control. You've united two factions. There's Sulfurin and Magni. Sulfurin is willing to put up with Magni because of the loss of Magni's best friend, who Sulfurin also loved, and because of the speech and everything else. So everybody's united again under Captain Bjorgulfsson, who is kind of a puppet right now because of how weak and nearly unconscious he is. So you are really running things right now. But you have 42 Space Vikings currently. That's probably half the crew.
good band name.
42 Space Vikings. That's good too. Yeah.
you
That band name.
can announce that number on the loudspeaker.
Yeah. Magni is able to offer some intelligence. Okay. I'm gonna drag somebody out here so that you can just see what's going on. It'll be Chapman because everybody can see on Chapman's token. Magni points some things out. Okay. He knows. He says, across from us was Borvai. Borvai has been, and he says this through a translator, obviously. Borvai has been quiet. No one knows what is happening in there. We don't even know if they're still alive. There's some strange squeaking, oinking noise across from Borvai's building. And there is some gunfire over there, but we assumed it was Harkomen. There's also a terrible stench. And yes, I know this whole planet smells, but I mean even worse. I mean a terrible stench coming nearby that building. So I hope Borvai is okay. Magni seems to really like Borvai. And when you mention some things about like attacking the gun and doing a pincer maneuver and all these kind of things, they immediately bring up two things. Sulfurin says, it would be very hard for us to just do a direct assault on the gun. That is sort of what we were trying to do to take back the ship. Unfortunately, Trask's men, they've stopped us. They have fighting positions and covering fire in the approach to the gun. Secondly, if we get closer, we'll have to deal with the gun being brought to bear on us. That may take some time. And lastly, Lucas has the ship. If we announce something loud enough, then Lucas will know, so we will lose any surprise we might have had. Though we may not want that.
Well, wouldn't Lucas try to persuade him too with all of this. Doesn't sound like he has enough on his own to take the ship off.
Possibly. Okay,
If he
books.
did.
Anyways, I just wanted to offer that information. So what do you think?
So that's a lot to take in. I think maybe we could try a mixture of both of the plans. Maybe we could do the loudspeaker thing just to see if we can get any more forces behind us. Well, actually, before that, I think we should definitely send somebody to go check out what is it, Movi? Can't read my handwriting. To go see if what's going on there. It doesn't sound good. It would be good to know though for sure to have confirmation. So I think we should send somebody out to go take a look at that. But going back to the plan, I think the loudspeaker thing might be good just to see if we can get any more forces, because it does sound like the two, leaders are basically saying that it would be risky with the number of men we have now. But if we add to those forces, that might change things, or we might want to, instead of doing like a full assault, we might want to create a diversion and have more of a tactical approach, maybe like smaller teams. But that's another idea.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. So I just want to make sure I understand this diversion is a diversion to take the ship while the fighting is going on. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yeah, to take the ship, to disarm the weapon, or capture the weapon.
Because the main force, the diversionary force in this case, you all would not be the diversion, right? The diversion is to address the gun, while this would be after. Let me condense all this, and so step one, find a way to make a loudspeaker announcement to everybody. To try to unite everyone. Step two, order the bulk of forces to attack the gun so that it causes a distraction and prevents the gun's use. Step three, the main effort, which is you all, move to take over the ship.
Yes.
Did I get that
Well,
right?
the problem with all of that is it ignores Trask.
I was gonna say, when I proposed a diversion, I wasn't talking about the ship. I was talking about getting Trask distracted and out of the way. I was just thinking that maybe we should just save the ship for the very final step.
After
the battle's concluded.
So you're saying that the bulk of the forces would address the gun while you deal with Trask. How are you dealing with Trask? Are you just going to try to take him out, or play it as it goes?
I don't know.
Or okay, totally. That's
that was the thing I was throwing to the rest of the group. If anyone had any ideas,
movement to contact. We'll see what happens.
We can offer him some money.
Offer money. I actually think Books might be right that maybe the next smartest step would actually be to gather more intelligence on what's going on with Borvi's faction, because that seems like it could be a potential wild card. There could be one more weird variable at play there. He has like a bunch of mutant space pigs or something.
Tiffany, what do you think?
I think the Bjorvi thing needs to be investigated first. I think it sounds like Trask and Lucas are pretty well pinned down. Like, they're not going anywhere. They have things they want to defend. So if we do go to investigate Bjorvi, I don't think we have to worry about them leaving their positions and coming after us.
Okay, so are you gonna? They tell you where Borvi is. They say that they also have barricades, but they haven't seen anything. They haven't tried really hard to crack the barricade or try to get inside or talk to anyone. I'm going to move everybody over there. I want everybody on the adventure. How many Space Vikings do you want to go with you? And
yes.
Yes.
we should keep the number low, because I think one of our advantages is the other factions don't know that we've unified. And I feel like
we want discrete movements around the.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have anything definite in mind with that. I just feel like it's better maybe if they don't automatically know that we're unified. Because if they do, then Trask may decide to assault right now.
Yeah, let's make it big options here and let's take a vote because this makes sense. Option A, move in force and try to scoop up Borvi. You know, like we're talking take 30 out of 40 or all 40, who cares? Option A, we can massage details, whatever. We'll talk about that later. Option B is let's not show our hand. Let's be stealthy. Let's be ambiguous about what our composition is for now. And not reveal what we've done. So starting with Chapman, A or B?
B.
B. Okay, Marcello.
B.
All right, Books.
B.
There you go. Okay, so both are great ideas. I actually think. I would say I think it's funny because it ought to be one or the other.
Well, the funny thing here's the funny thing, Ross, is that when you expressed the move in force idea as like a blitzkrieg, it suddenly sounded like a way better idea. And you kind of convinced me, I would have changed my vote, but because it's not a bad idea to sweep in, grab Borvi, and then keep moving. If we did that, we would have to keep moving. But we've already voted the other way, which is also it was my idea. But now I disagree.
We just need to send a couple scouts to figure out what's going on there, and it may end up being that we then rush it with a blitzkrieg. Who knows? I don't know. There might be mad science going on.
We still have our ships comms. Can we assume
as small of a force as possible? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm gonna make you all go because on the adventure.
I need to take a quick bathroom break. I'll be back.
Okay. They point out to you. I will send one liaison with you. That way they can speak Old English and stuff. They point out the barricade, and they say that the Space Viking. He says that no one has attempted to go inside. They've had other problems. But you can hear fighting on the other side of the building. And meanwhile, some oinking, squeaking things come around the sides of the building. I'm going to attempt... Well, I'll try to just describe this. They look like beetle pigs. They look like a pig-shaped thing, but also they have a carapace and pincers and like 6 eyeballs and 6 legs. But otherwise they squeak and grunt and they waddle around, and there's a bunch of them that come out, and then there's some man in robes, and he comes around and he's lamenting something. He's like, oh no, Susan, and that's where we'll end the adventure for the night. Mythic Traveler is a Space Western Merchant Classic Traveler campaign in the Mythic Mountains RPG Play Club. The music's by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech and Greg Gibson with Timberzeal. Classic Traveler is one of the first tabletop role-playing games, and the first sprawling space simulator game ever created, by Mark Miller and Games Designer Workshop. You can find the free facsimile rules of Classic Traveler by Far Future Enterprises in the description. Mythic Mountains RPG is an online play club that focuses on folk RPGs. Those are the RPGs that aren't run or controlled by some huge corporation, and they don't have some set way to play, and ain't nobody can tell you how you can play them. We play them, however, is the right way, and that's the way we want to do it. The table is the authority. We upload our games weekly on YouTube for everyone to enjoy and sit in without performances, fancy equipment, or monetization. It's just a group of people playing folk RPGs our way. You're welcome to join us, but until then, be safe out there between jumps.